I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Kim Castro. Brand new update, 1 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. And here's the latest on Francine. Still a tropical storm with winds at 65 miles an hour. It's gained a little bit of speed, moving to the northeast at 9 miles an hour, still maintaining its pressure. It's expected to become a hurricane a little later on today and maintain that strength as it tracks towards the Louisiana coastline. As of this morning, the track has slowed down just a little bit, and that has held steady through the 1 o'clock advisory. So now expected to make a landfall a little later on Wednesday, sometime around 7 o'clock in the evening. Notice that is where we are going to see the majority of the impacts. Louisiana. That's the dirty side of this hurricane. On the left side, the clean side, it's exactly as it looks, much less disruptive. The convective field is really taking aim towards Lafayette and New Orleans. So let's describe the difference between the right side, the dirty side, and the left side, the clean side of a hurricane, because when it comes to forecasting, it's all about the positioning and which side of the storm you're in. So with Francine, the forecast calls for this to strengthen to an 85-mile-an-hour hurricane, strong Category 1 hurricane. Notice the forward motion right now is at 9 miles an hour. Let's say at its peak, it gets up to 15 miles an hour. With the right side of a hurricane, because it churns counterclockwise and it gains momentum on the right side, try to think of this like a baseball player. When it starts to wind to hit the ball, there's a lot of momentum, a lot of force going in to hitting the ball. That's the right side of a hurricane. The left side is after the player has hit the ball and it starts to ricochet that bat backwards. It's a lot less forceful. So the right side, the left side. With Francine, 85-mile-an-hour winds moving towards the north. It's not a direct math equation where you could just add both those numbers, but it's really close to that. So for this example, let's do that. 85 plus 15, that would put the right side at 100 miles an hour. So the dirty side, even though it's a Category 1 hurricane, could feel the force and the impacts of a Category 2 hurricane, which starts at 96 miles an hour. So the front right side gets the maximum amount of rain, the winds, the surge. The back right side gets significant rain, wind, and surge. Then the left side gets some wind, very light rain, some rain, and a couple of wind risks. So it's really the clean side that you want to be on if you have to be in the path of a hurricane. So Houston impacts being on the clean side of this hurricane are mainly along the coastline. Coastal showers are likely. The coast could see some elevated tides, some surge threats, some erosion. Monitor the forecast for each and every update from the National Hurricane Center. But so far, this is what we're looking at. Convection that is offshore. Some of these bands pushing into the coast. Some outer bands from Francine bringing us some downpours. And when we do get these downpours, you'll feel them. They're tropical in nature and they're coming from a hurricane, so you'll certainly feel some of these heavy downpours and some wind. So that's a snapshot at 7 o'clock in the evening for Harris County. That's when we should start to see some of these showers pick up, and it could continue into the late night. But notice overall pretty scattered in comparison to this big blob of organized convection. The bulk of the energy from Francine and the bulk of the impact is steering to our east. Let's talk about the wind gust. That's where the majority of the impact will be as well in Louisiana. However, we still have the potential to see some tropical storm force winds. Right now, wind gusts forecast at around 30 miles an hour. However, they could get up to 39 to 57 miles an hour, and that could continue through Wednesday afternoon. So we're watching that. We're watching the threat for coastal flooding. There is a warning in effect until 4 o'clock on Wednesday. This includes our entire coastal communities, so Matagorda, Brazoria, Galveston, and Chambers. We're under weather impact alert because of Francine all day. Bottom line is coastal flooding is going to be the main threat for us here in Houston. But again, keeping an eye on any subtleties, any changes. It's all about the fine details like we talked about. Here's a live look at Pleasure Pier, Galveston. The skies look stormy. The waves look choppy. There's wind out there, but not a ton of it right now. In fact, it's scaled back just a little bit. Northeast at 10 miles an hour. However, those gusts, like we talked about, are going to get to 20 to 30 miles an hour at least. then there's a potential for them to get to tropical storm force. Waves forecast to get to 1 to 3 feet, and the downpours could be heavy at times. Now, with that threat of the waves at 1 to 3 feet, we are under a tropical storm watch along the Texas coastline. Notice a much bigger threat for Louisiana, a hurricane watch with a threat of 5 to 10 feet for those wave heights. And on Wednesday, the flood risk is very much focused for the Louisiana coastline, even into Mississippi. A level 3 on the 1 to 4 scale threat, Galveston coastline, Chambers, and then pushing closer to Lake Charles on the lowest end, a 1 on the 1 to 4 scale. Coastal forecast looks like this. So temperatures are going to be in the low 80s. It's going to look cloudy, stormy, rainy throughout the day. We're going to see the push of some wind throughout the day. Different from the inland forecast. There's going to be a lot of cloud cover around, but those downpours will be scattered. Again, once you get a downpour, you'll certainly feel the impacts of it, but it's not going to be happening all day. In fact, some of you might not get any rain at all. How about the rain chances on Wednesday? I think for the morning, we could have something even as late as the early afternoon, but from there on out, those rain chances start dropping off. Here's the big picture again as we're tracking Francine. Most of the energy to our northeast. Some outer bands bringing us the potential of downpours, more concentrated along the coast. That'll be throughout this afternoon and this evening. Once we head into Wednesday, Francine starts to consolidate even more. That's when it becomes a hurricane, and that's when it races towards the Louisiana coastline to make its landfall. 7-day forecast for us looks like this. Weather impact alert for Houston today. Tomorrow, a couple leftover showers possible, and then things start to clear up. So the temperature forecast will start to climb up and those rain chances scale back. Please stay weather alert today. We'll have more updates each and every time the National Hurricane Center issues an advisory. We'll check back in with you in a little bit.